Welcome back to the Paranormal State, Washington, and UFO UAP. With Makāula Nakae, a lifelong experiencer and ET contactee since 1990. Today's episode, 1975 Investigations Project MKUltra. When the vault was blown open. For nearly 3 decades, the CIA's clandestine behavioral research, chemical testing, and mind control initiatives operated behind an impenetrable wall of national security classification. That wall finally collapsed in 1975 thanks to a convergence of investigative journalism, public outcry, and monumental congressional probes. The Church Committee and the Rockefeller Commission. These investigations permanently altered the relationship between the American public and the intelligence apparatus, exposing a dark ecosystem of domestic experimentation that had previously been dismissed as wild conspiracy theory. The dam broke in December 1974 when investigative journalist Seymour Hersh published a bombshell expose in the New York Times. Hersh revealed that the CIA had spent decades conducting massive illegal domestic intelligence operations against American citizens, including illegal wiretapping, break-ins, mail opening, and domestic surveillance of anti-war activists. Crucially, Hersh's reporting hinted at something far more sinister lurking in the agency's archives: illegal drug testing and human experimentation conducted on unwitting citizens. The public outcry was so immediate and overwhelming that the federal government could no longer stonewall. President Gerald Ford and Congress were forced to launch formal independent investigations to prevent a total collapse of institutional trust. In January 1975, President Ford established the Commission on CIA Activities within the United States, chaired by Vice President Nelson Rockefeller, commonly known as the Rockefeller Commission. The commission was tasked with determining whether the CIA had violated domestic laws during its operations. While the commission was designed in part to reassure the public and manage political damage, its final report, released in June 1975, exposed deeply disturbing truths. It officially confirmed that the CIA had engaged in covert drug testing on unwitting human subjects. The commission brought public attention to the tragic 1953 death of Dr. Frank Olson, acknowledging for the first time that a civilian scientist had been secretly given LSD by his superiors, leading to his fatal fall from a New York hotel window. This forced the CIA to formally apologize to the Olson family and offer a financial settlement. While the Rockefeller Commission was a presidential body, the true heavyweight of the 1975 probes was the Select Committee to study governmental operations with respect to intelligence activities. Chaired by Idaho Senator Frank Church, known universally as the Church Committee. The Church Committee subpoenaed records, interviewed terrified intelligence officials, and dug deep into the remnants of the CIA's. They uncovered the sprawling multi-decade architecture of Project MKUltra and its predecessor, Project Artichoke, revealing a vast network of front foundations, university contracts, safe houses, and psychiatric subprojects, like Dr. Ewan Cameron's torture lab in Montreal. The committee's reports detailed how the CIA had funneled millions of dollars into studying absolute behavioral control, human degradation, chemical interrogation, radiation, and hypnosis, frequently bypassing ethical review boards and intentionally targeting vulnerable populations, prisoners, and unsuspecting civilians. The investigation also uncovered a monumental scandal of destruction. Just 2 years prior, in 1973, outgoing CIA Director Richard Helms had ordered the systematic purging and shredding of nearly all MKUltra financial and operational files, meaning the full, horrific extent of the program would likely never be completely known. The findings of the Church Committee and the Rockefeller Commission shook the American political landscape to its core, leading to the creation of permanent congressional intelligence oversight committees, such as the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. For the general public, the 1975 investigations proved a terrifying reality. The state-sponsored paranoia of the Cold War had birthed a domestic monster that operated entirely outside the law. For modern ufologists and trauma researchers, these investigations provided the ultimate historical anchor, proof positive that the government was actively experimenting with memory erasure, dissociation, and psychological manipulation during the exact decades when modern abduction narratives were taking root. If you ever want to feel better about your own job performance, just remember that the Central Intelligence Agency once spent decades classifying top-secret documents, shredding hard drives and dodging congressional subpoenas. All to hide the fact that their grand master plan for global dominance involves spiking unsuspecting citizens with acid and turning psychiatric patients into confused puddles of psychological distress. When the vault doors were finally blown open in 1975 by Seymour Hersh, the Rockefeller Commission, and the Church Committee, the great reveal wasn't an awe-inspiring, futuristic sci-fi breakthrough. It was just a brutal, bureaucratic farce of institutional sadism. Think about the sheer, unadulterated irony of it all. For years, the government's official stance on mind control experiments was that anyone talking about them was a tinfoil hat wearing crackpot spinning wild conspiracy theories. Then the investigations hit, and it turned out the conspiracy theorists were actually underreacting. The government really was running secret, illegal behavioral research programs. But instead of an elite cadre of cold-blooded masterminds engineering space-age telemetry, it was a bunch of credential sadists in tweed jackets drugging vulnerable people, breaking into mailboxes, and accidentally throwing their own biochemists out of New York hotel windows. The grand justification for all this madness was national security and the existential dread of the Cold War. To protect freedom, democracy, and the American way of life, the agency apparently decided the best course of action was to bypass basic human rights, target society's most defenseless individuals, and subject innocent people who needed help to psychological torture. They wanted to build a Manchurian candidate, but mostly they just built a massive legal liability and a PR disaster of epic proportions. And the cherry on top of this bureaucratic sundae? In 1973, just before the House of Cards collapsed, outgoing CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the systematic shredding of nearly all the MKUltra files. They tried to hit the ultimate undo button on decades of state-sponsored atrocities, proving that the only thing the agency excelled at more than questionable behavioral science was running a high-speed paper shredder. So, is it irony? Absolutely. We spent generations looking up at the sky, terrified that alien governments or secret space programs were going to abduct us, probe us, and manipulate our minds. Meanwhile, the real mind control artists were sitting right down the hall in Langley, wearing suits, burning taxpayer money to figure out if you could hypnotize someone into stealing a briefcase, and wondering why everyone got so upset when the bill came due. To be continued. Watch and listen. Watch the cinematic video trailer. Listen to the full podcast now. Explore the archive Cosmic Awakening Volume 1, 1991, Peru, Journey into the Unknown. Sacred Valley of the Incas. Volume 2, Ascension 2012, The Golden Alchemy. Part 3, The First Contact and the Paranormal State. Join the journey. New episodes drop periodically. Each chapter delivers a tight, hyper-focused 10 to 30-minute exploration into the evolution of ufology, perfect for your daily plunge into decoding hidden messages from outer space, designed to raise awareness and foster human evolution. Subscribe to support your inner development. Thumbs up to help push our channel through the algorithm. Comment below. Share your thoughts on today's episode.